Yes, Casanovians. Boys, it's a beautiful day in Stockholm today. I wanted to do this live stream because I think this is going to be a really important topic for a lot of you boys. I think in every man's cold approach odyssey, you're going to get hit with these moments. You're going to get hit with these self-deprecating moments where you feel like throwing in the towel, you feel like giving up, you feel like giving up on dating altogether, right? Maybe you've watched a few videos, you've tried putting yourself out there, maybe you have been able to approach, maybe your conversations suck at the moment, maybe you started getting phone numbers, but maybe the phone numbers all flaked, maybe you had dates scheduled, but the dates flaked, maybe you went out on dates, but the date didn't go anywhere, now you feel like a piece of shit. That's the game, right? That is the game. Like I've gone through this whole process, and I think one of the most important things to understand when it comes to cold approach in general is there's always a new problem to get pissed off about. First you're pissed off because you can't approach, then you can approach, but your conversations suck balls, so you get pissed off about that. Then your conversations get really good, but you suck at actually getting the phone number because you've just not been practicing closing as much as you've been practicing opening. Then you can close. Now you're getting phone numbers, but then the phone numbers flake. Then the phone numbers stop flaking. Then you start going on dates. Then the dates go terrible, but then the dates start going good. But then the girl doesn't come back to your place. Then the girl does come back to your place, but maybe you can't get a boner. Then you do start getting a boner, but for whatever reason, you don't see the girl again. Then you do see the girl again, and maybe you see her once and you never hear from her again. And then maybe you actually start seeing her multiple times, but then you get bored of her, right? So there's always a new problem to get pissed off about. I think that's just life in general. I was having a conversation yesterday with one of the guys in my private network, the Entourage, and he said a statement to me which completely blew my mind. I want to share it with you boys because I think it's going to be so pivotal on your journey. He said that God's delay is not God's denial. Let that sink in. God's delay is not God's denial. I think we live in this venomous culture at the moment where everybody has this obsession with instant gratification, right? Maybe you go out there one time and you approach one girl and maybe you get her phone number and then she flakes on you. It's so easy to get stuck in this instant gratification mindset where you just want everything now. It's like, oh, I went out, I did the thing, but it didn't go anywhere. Now I'm going to get pissed off. Now I'm going to throw a little temper tantrum because I didn't get the cookie, right? Suck it up, right? If this was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? The way that I view it is 1% of guys are going to get started with cold approach, and only 1% of that 1% are actually going to stick it out long enough to actually get really good at it. That's your competition, right? Your competition is the mind-dead masses who will try something, maybe for a day, maybe for a week, maybe for a month. They don't see the results instantaneously, so then they just get pissed off. Then they look for the next shiny object. Oh, maybe it's dating apps. Maybe it's alcohol-infused nights out. Maybe it's social circle. Maybe it's DMing 100 women a day. Maybe it's becoming a high-value man. Build it and they will come. Just make lots of money, get rich, get ripped, and then women are magically going to be throwing themselves at me. No. The way that I view it is anything can work as long as you do, right? Cold approach works as long as you do. The amount of stupidity on the internet is actually ridiculous. Oh, cold approach doesn't work. That's like saying sales doesn't work. That's like saying marketing doesn't work. All this is going over and having conversations with people who you don't know. In what world does that not work? How do you think our ancestors met? How do you think people meet today at bars during the data? Like, how do you think people meet? They meet through face-to-face conversation. Even if you're meeting people online, you still need to know how to have conversations with people. You go on a date with them, you still need to know how to converse. You still need to know how to escalate, how to switch venues, how to pull her back to your place. Like, the game is the game, but God's delay is not God's denial, right? So the best advice I can give to you is being able to go from one failure to another without losing any enthusiasm. Yeah, when I first got started with this 4 years ago, I went through the ringer with it. And bear in mind, like, my starting point was most likely a lot worse than yours, right? I was living in that grotty apartment in central Leeds. I didn't have any money. I looked like a turnip. I dressed like a moron. I was a porn addict, had erectile dysfunction. Like, what that does for a man's confidence is ridiculous. Right? Like, I went through the whole thing, like, oh, I want to be able to approach. Then I could approach. I want to be able to have longer conversations. Then I did that. I want to start getting phone numbers. I did that. I remember this one time in Leeds, there was this girl, she was from Bristol. I crossed the road to go over to her, and I had what I thought was the best conversation I'd ever had with cold approach. This was about a week after I started, right? So I had this conversation with this girl from Bristol. After I came out of that conversation, I felt like an absolute king. I was like, oh my God, that was the best conversation I've ever had. This girl is definitely gonna come out on a date with me. We're gonna go out. I'd already planned the date in advance. I already had an idea. We're gonna go into Greek Street on Leeds. I was gonna take her to 2 venues. Like, I'd already future projected how everything was gonna play out. Got back to my grotty apartment in Leeds, went to message her, and then I realized she'd give me a fake number, right? A fake number. And that was like devastating for me at that time, because I was like, dude, I put all this effort in. I've been going out, I've been doing my approaches. I met this amazing girl, boom, nothing, right? But again, God's delay is not God's denial. The whole point, the way that I've always viewed this process, well, not always, but as I've gone deeper on this process, I understand the reps are the rewards, right? The reps are the reward. Every time we put ourselves through the social fire, every time we decide to go out there and forge a new identity into the fires of adversity, we're investing into the identity of the person who we want to embody, right? The problem with guys who get started with cold approach is they think way too short term, right? They're just thinking, oh, I want to go out. I want to try and find a few girls who like me. I want to get a few easy lays, a few notches. I'm like, dude, you're focused on the wrong metrics. You have to play the long game, right? It's like playing the infinite game. If you play infinite games, then it stops you from castrating yourself of your confidence, because it's like you're thinking in terms of the future rather than just right now. Because it's the compounding of the actions that we take, right? So let's just say, for example, you're completely new to this, or maybe a better example would be you've been putting yourself out there and you're not seeing any results right now, right? The best thing to keep in mind is you're only ever one great approach away from everything changing, right? You're only ever one great approach away from everything changing. I had a guy from the Entourage who flew out to meet me here in Stockholm, and he'd been going through a bit of a sticky patch. He was going out, he was doing his approaches, he was getting phone numbers, but the phone numbers he was getting, they just weren't going anywhere. And that's a rite of passage, that's normal, right? The first handful of numbers that you get from cold approach, they're gonna flake, right? It's a rite of passage, suck it up. But he came out to meet me in Stockholm. On the day that he landed, he went out for us, for a meal with steak. He was just like bantering with the boys. And then we left the restaurant. He saw this beautiful Norwegian girl who turned out to be a model. He approached her, took her to a cocktail bar. The rest of the guys were like winging him, cheering him on, and then ended up pulling her back to his hotel place, and the two of them had a magical evening together. The day after, he was like, dude, I actually could not believe how effortless this whole thing was. Like, I can't believe I actually had this experience. The reason why he was able to have that experience, it wasn't that approach, it was all of the approaches which preceded that approach, right? Does that make sense? So when I'm saying to you that all of the approaches that we're doing today, this week, this month, you might not see the payoffs immediately, but it's about having faith in the process. It's about having optimism in the absence of certainty. That's what confidence is, or that's one of my definitions of confidence, because Socrates said the beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms, right? So the way that I define confidence is optimism in the absence of certainty. One of the reasons why I put these live streams out here every single day and document my client experiences, document my experiences, show the whole process on this channel. You can go back to the oldest videos to just see where I started at. It's to inspire optimism within you, right? Cold approach is hard, especially at the start, because you don't know what you don't know. But it's like, you're not going to train at the gym once and be competing in Mr. Olympia, right? It's those small incremental actions that we take every single day. It's the training, it's the consistency, it's the diet, it's being able to say no, it's being able to manage our own mind and not let our thoughts run away with us. And also, I just think having that optimism in the absence of certainty, that's what this game, I think, is really about. It's about mental and emotional mastery. Like, yeah, go out there, do your approaches, but the first 100 direct cold approaches that you do, they're purely for batting practice, right? They're purely to get skin in the game. It's to overcome that initial resistance, because at the moment, you don't know what you don't know. So if you're someone who at the moment you're thinking, oh dude, like I have been out there, I have tried, I am putting in the effort, then continue to push, right? Continue to get stuck in, but also I think have the emotional maturity to be able to get feedback as well. Because it's not just about going out there and doing approaches, right? It's not just doing the same thing, rinse and repeat, hoping to get a different result. There could be a kaleidoscope of reasons why you suck at the moment, which have nothing to do with your actual approach. Like, it could be the way you look, it could be the way you think, it could be the way that you speak. That's why I'm always trying to bang into you boys' brain, this is life game, right? The way that you get results through this skill set, you become the most fuckable version of yourself, your fitness, your fashion, your finances. And then you allow yourself to learn day game, but don't become a day gamer, right? You don't want to be one of those guys, those brain dead bozos who just thinks it's about learning some clever lines or routines, learning the London day game model, accusing every woman of being French. No. You become the most fuckable version of yourself. If you don't know how to do that, or if you're struggling, or if you want my exact process, there's a link below. You can download my Most Fuckable Man course. That gives you everything. Like, I give away information for free, and I charge for implementation. The reason why I give away all this free content, the free courses, the free videos, the free podcasts, is because I want you to consume a shitload of my content. I want you to get the foundations in place. And then once you have become the most fuckable version of you, and you have got your social skills on point, that's when you apply to become a member of my private network, the Entourage. That's when we work together in person. That's when I give you an in-person coaching experience. That's when I give you an entire year of dedicated support. That's when you become part of my private community, and then we take that shit to the moon. So God's delay is not God's denial, right? I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be feeling as though you're banging your head against a brick wall. You're not getting anywhere. You really want that cookie. And I get that. We're all human. I understand. But this is like the ultimate exercise in delayed gratification, right? I'm not providing magic bullets or quick fix formulas. But the way that I view this is a lifelong pursuit towards self-mastery, right? It's deeper than day game. Cold approach is the catalyst to the rest of our lives. Once you've unlocked this skill and you've unlocked that mental resilience and that emotional clarity to be able to go from one failure to another without losing any enthusiasm, that bleeds over into every single thing that you do, right? You'll make more money because you're learning skills, you're learning how to manage your own mind, you're learning state control. You're going to be able to bring more high value people into your life. You're going to have this rock star confidence, this magnetic aura that you can transfer to every single thing that you do. But ultimately, you're going to be able to trust yourself, right? You're going to develop this certainty within yourself where you're like, do you know what? No matter what, I can handle it. Like, all of the inevitable vicissitudes that people face in their life, I think cold approach is going to harden you, right? And that's why I don't just view it as this thing where, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk to some girls. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But it's who I'm becoming by doing that. It's who I'm becoming by doing what terrifies me. It's who I'm becoming by dive bombing into discomfort. It's who I'm becoming through the fires of adversity. So I think just a shift in mindset is massively going to help you. If you're getting a lot of flakes, or if you've got a lot of anxiety, or maybe your dates are not going your way, it's throw me in hell and I'll find a way to enjoy it. That was one of the statements which completely changed my mindset. Throw me in hell and I'll find a way to enjoy it. There's a really incredible book. It's called Reality Transurfing. I don't know if you boys have read it. I recommend it quite a bit across this channel. Reality Transurfing. Incredible book, especially when it comes to mindset and having irrational joy, when most people are going to have justified depression. So yeah, reality transurfing. It put into words better than I can. But yeah, I wanted to just put this out there because I know there's a lot of people who are struggling. There's a lot of people who are rejecting themselves on their behalf. They're experiencing failure in advance. They are thinking too many steps ahead. They are desperate to receive love from the feminine, but for whatever reason, things are just not sticking at the moment. And that's okay, right? Like, a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. Do you know what I mean? I think as long as you just don't quit, as long as you get your mindset right, as long as you continue to watch these videos and these daily live streams and continue to just get flooded with optimism, you'll be all right, dude. Like, I promise you. Like, if I've been able to do it from where I started, 13 years old, having severe social anxiety, breaking out into sweating fits at school whenever I got put on the spot to answer questions, just an absolute socially incompetent buffoon. Like, if I've been able to get to where I've got to, then there's hope for you as well, right? Because that's what we need. I think hope is one of the greatest currencies. A man without hope is dead, right? So if you can just have even 1% more hope after watching these videos, and I promise you'll make it. You will. But if what you're doing at the moment is not working, then just reflect. Get people to give you feedback, like no bullshit feedback. Like, what's not working? What could you improve? Is it the way that you're speaking? Is it the way that you're dressing? Is it the way that you look? Is it the clothes that you're wearing? Is it the city that you live? I don't know, because I don't know you personally, but you don't know what you don't know, right? You do not know what you do not know. So having that feedback is essential. At this point in my life, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars into my own self-education. I dropped £14,000 last month on business mentoring because I've got this obsession with progression. And dude, the thing is as well, right? This is really important. Just because I spent £14,000 on business mentoring, I don't expect that to change my life, right? I'm investing into knowledge. I'm investing into expertise. It's up to me what I do with that. Again, this works as long as I do, right? So just because you invest money into something, like just because I invest money to go to a gym, it's not a guarantee for a great body. No, I have to show up. I have to put in the work. I have to put in the reps. I have to motivate myself. I have to actually want it, right? I think that's the thing that separates good from great. It's people who actually want to be great. They have this burning desire. It's like, I'm going to make it all the way to the top or I'm going to die. That's the mindset, right? And the people who are in my network, the Entourage, this is why we've got such a tribe of savages, right? We've got 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs, digital nomads, execs, investors. There's this obsession with progression. And when we surround ourselves with winners, we win, right? So look at the people you're spending time with. Look at what you're doing on a daily basis. Look at your habits. What can you remove? What can you add? Who do you need to become to live the life that you want to become? Who do you need to become to live the life you want to live? I don't have the answers. I can just give you questions. Anyway, love ya. Mwah.